Okay, haven't done much lately. Seems like I've been kind of lazy about things. Got an AC condenser and a radiator. It's not mounted yet. I just stuck it there for now. And this is the Vintage Air Gen 4 heater AC unit, and this should be pretty cool. Originally I wasn't going to do AC or a heater. Where I live, I don't really need it too much, but it'll be cool to have this in there, kind of add to the car. This unit has servos in here which adjust the vents and such, and it'll hook up, supposedly, I haven't got into it yet, but with the ISA system. And the ISA system has a separate add-on which goes with this Gen 4 Vintage Air, and evidently I can set this up like a environmental control, so that's on the horizon, figuring all that out. But you know, I see these on TV all the time, and I know a lot of guys use them, so I'm sure it's a pretty neat little unit. And this kit came from Factory 5 because they've included, you know, directions to put it into GTM and wiring harness and different things, so, and some lines, different hookups, which I'm happy to see because I got some stuff off eBay and it's kind of ugly, so some of the stuff I'm gonna have to use, and hopefully all the ugly stuff I won't have to use, like that. It's ugly. So if I use this, I gotta figure out a way to clean all that out. And haven't done much on this. I got the reservoirs on there. Directions wanted you to get that kind of hot. Put those on, which I did. And I haven't figured out this yet, but I have figured out that it's going to work good in that spot. It's going to be perfect for centering up this column and holding that, and then at the same time housing the brake light switch. I did get the gas pedal in there, fly-by-wire, so there's no throttle cable. That'll hook up through a harness in a controller box. Not sure how that works yet. I'll be learning and doing. So yeah, time to put that into place, start mocking things up, going through the directions and seeing how stuff lies. I got a relocator from Shane at V-Raptor Motorworks, which puts this thing in a different place, so you're sucking in air from inside the cabin rather than outside. So it makes a recirculating air system rather. So I don't know, I haven't figured out. I'm gonna look at what he has as far as that relocator, see if I want it inside the cabin. Maybe I just leave it outside. I never drive cars like these on gravel roads, dirt roads, dusty, wet, so I may not care if it's out here. So I'll be looking at that too. figured I'd get that bracket from him because it wasn't very much money, whether I use it or not. So, got things sitting in here, kind of eyeballing stuff where I may run it, and got some of the lines in here that comes with the kit from Factory 5. So I was happy to find out that I didn't have to use any of this stuff. Pretty much the only thing out of there is this. And this right here is the plenum relocator box that Shane made. And by the way, it fits real good, Shane, and it fits perfect, as a matter of fact. And it does get rid of that blower from being right here, save some space out here because it's going to be cramped by the time I put the battery and the coolant lines for the radiator. And I like the idea of breathing in the fresh air and all that instead of from the outside. But I don't like that it's inside the cabin. But I don't know, I think I'm going to put it inside and just go with it. But I'm about ready to mount the box in there. I've been looking at the ISIS stuff also and how to wire that in. It's pretty simple. They got it set up pretty simple. It's just like one plug into the ECU here. Got the heater AC unit where I want it. It is mounted in there. And I've had to read about the ISIS now. Kind of break my get my brain wrapped around that a little bit better, and how it hooks up to the environmental control. I've had to move this bracket a little bit because it was right up tight where the interior piece of metal goes, and it would have been rubbing on here, so I bent the bracket a bit, moved it over, and then I mounted the ISIS environment vintage air module right to the top of that. Got it plugged in, ready to splice into the rest of the system, and this will hook up to the blower, and that'll hook up to the power. And then I've had the lines in there routed where I want them pretty much, and started putting the rest of the panels on here, and I got these all sealed underneath, leaving spots loose where I still got to hook pieces on. You know, like on the inside, I'm making sure all the rivets are pointing outward because I believe the carpet just glues right to the metal, which is fine by me. I'm not really going for a high-end interior, and it'll look good enough. But you know, for that reason, I don't want the ends of these rivets, like right here, poking out. It'll be a little bit smoother. And then, you know, when I'm doing a rivet, I thought I'd pass this along. It's kind of a cool little tip if you don't know. You know, as I'm starting to pinch this down, just put a little bit of pressure, and at the same time tap the end of that with a dead blow hammer as you're squeezing it, and you'll feel it tighten up as you're tapping on it, and then finally it'll pop. So it's just a good way to get a nice tight seal on the panel, especially places where you just can't reach in there and push. So that works out pretty good. So oh, and now I'm hooking up this plenum locator, and now's a good time to get this in. I'm going to get this piece in here first, and then I'm able to put this piece on after it's together. So that'll go on afterwards. So get that piece on first, and then I'll come in here and finish up this stuff, and then that part will be done. I already got the steering column done, with exception for the brake switch bracket still, but that's no big deal. I'll get that done here pretty quick. And the brakes, and next thing is getting the motor set in there, so can't wait for that. I'll have a few things I got to do to the motor. Swap the manifold around, the valve covers, clean it up a little bit, drop that in there, and then I'll be able to start plumbing the brakes, the cooling system, and the fuel system, and then it's time for the wiring, and it's just a matter of putting it together and being done with it. So, oh, I still need the transaxle, which is huge. I need more than time to get that done. I need money, so we'll see how that comes along and fits in with the rest of the project. Got the blower in. Got it all seam sealed in there. Keep it airtight. And got the panels in there, and yeah, that's kind of an example of what I'm going to do with these seams before the carpet goes on there. Try and keep it airtight. And then I haven't put that piece on yet, but it fits in there good, and I'll get that sealed up also. So that's pretty much it, except I got to put these panels on permanent. And it's about time to clean up the LS2 and get it prepped out and ready to drop in the hole. Got to switch the manifold around. The valve covers got to swap sides. Stuff like that. And like I say, I'll get it cleaned up, but it's already pretty clean. I got a steal on this thing. It's only got 200 miles on it. I saw the Carfax, somebody bought it, and 15 days later the car was totaled. And then it sat in litigation for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever. And I happened to see it on eBay the moment it popped up, and I bought it. Got a good deal on it. So anyway, I'm happy about that. Brand new motor. Got the AC all done. Came out pretty good. That was kind of tough, getting that all in there, and I already showed you the seam sealer part, but man, that was kind of tough. And got the blower in there, mounted up. This came with the kit, and I assume it's a cover for different applications to hide the blower motor. There's nothing about it on the instructions or anything, and I don't need it. But I think what I'm going to do is see if I can't trim that up a little bit, so it'll hide the blower motor, and you know, dress that up a little bit, because that's part of what I dreaded, was having that inside of the, you know, interior. I'd rather have it hidden if I could, so I'm going to go for it, see what happens. So there's that piece I got. Fit in there pretty good. It's going to hide that motor, hide the wires pretty well. So that's good. That's what it looks like. After the trim. And I'll probably put carpet over that, because it'll get scuffed up eventually from people's feet, so I'll cover that with carpet like the rest of the interior. So, little compromised foot room compared to without the motor there, but you know, now it's gonna be hidden, so at least that part I can handle. Got the motor dropped in the hole, dust knocked off of it. Can't believe how clean this thing is, how new it is. You know, like I just pulled the cap off the plug, brand new, clean inside there, still got the grease from the factory. And you know, like there's no belt mark worn in the pulleys or anything, brand new. So hopefully I won't have any problems with it. Gotta take everything apart, get rid of that manifold. Haven't decided if I'm gonna run a cover over here or not. Something weird's been splashed on this. I don't know if I did that or if it came like that. So we'll do something there. You know, and I don't know if I'm going to run the factory fuel rails with the fuel system I put in here. I don't know. So. Motor looks good though. I'm liking that.